Coming up on Sports Night, Day 2 at Austin Country Club for the Dell Technologies Match Play. Can Jordan Spieth bounce back after a disappointing opening round? Dustin Johnson continues to cruise. Johnny Vegas and Jimmy Walker get one in the win column. Plus, the Spurs in action against the Grizzlies.
Powell with a kick. Zips it to Mills. Patty Mills with a three. 7.1 to go.
This is Sports Night.
It was a mental test out there, we knew we were gonna get bad breaks. We just had to stay positive. It's just not an easy day.
Well, it's appropriate that we begin Sports Night as a gust of wind blows through Austin Country Club here. Ricky Doyle and Travis Recek with you live from the Dell Technologies Match Play Day 2. I say appropriate, Travis, because that's the theme of today. The wind blew, and it blew hard throughout the day for these guys.
We knew it was probably going to be an issue at some point this week. The golfers got pretty lucky on Wednesday. The conditions really weren't that bad. But today you're talking consistently 20 to 30 mile an hour wind with wind gust up to about 35. And it impacted play according to every single guy that was out on the course.
Yeah, and especially as you got down there on those holes that border Lake Austin, which are beautiful, but that's where the wind was really whipping through there. I heard a number of guys after the round today say they were happy they were playing match play as opposed to stroke play, because the numbers would have probably been pretty ugly if they were playing regular scoring and seeing what the rounds turned out to be. But like they said, in match play, they could just shake it off hole to hole, but it was tough out there for all of them.
Yeah, no doubt. And the format allows for you to take some chances even in the wind. And, guys that maybe didn't win on Wednesday needed to make a charge today. We definitely saw that. They were able to, take those risks if need be.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about the new format. A loss on Wednesday didn't eliminate you, but a loss on Thursday, if you lost on Wednesday, would just about do you in. So there was pressure on for those guys who lost their matches yesterday. That included Jordan Spieth. That included Jonathan Vegas. We'll show you Spieth in just a little bit. But before we do that, let's catch up with some of the guys who went off early on Thursday. Joaquin Sanchez has that story.
If you lost out here on day 1, day 2 becomes make or break. Such was the case for former Longhorn Johnny Vegas. After dropping yesterday's match to Bubba Watson, he faced Belgium's Thomas Pieters in a must-win situation. Vegas got out to a good start, up 2 after the first 6 holes. Pieters got one back here on number 7, cutting the lead to 1. Next hole was mistake-filled for the Belgian, so the Texas X made this par to extend the lead back up to 2. Vegas got up by as much as 4 before finishing off Pieters' 3-1, keeping hope alive to make the weekend.
Oh, it was a pretty solid round. I feel like I played pretty good most of the day. Obviously, getting a win against a top player, it's always a good thing. So, just really excited about the win. Especially after a tough loss yesterday to Bubba. So, really excited, which is good.
Probably the second toughest grouping got out early. Hideki Matsuyama, the 4th-ranked golfer in the world, taking on Ross Fisher, and a couple major champions facing off on the other side. Louis Oosthuizen, the runner-up out here last year, taking on Jim Furyk. And Furyk came out in a fury, getting up by as much as 3 on a couple different occasions. Oosthuizen had a beautiful approach here on number 15, and he followed that up with the birdie putt to cut the lead to 2. But next hole, it was Furyk with a birdie of his own to put the match away 3-2 and grab the lead in Group 4.
Well, it's always good to get off to a good start and a good lead. But anything can kind of happen in match play. Be patient. In conditions like this, birdies go a long way, and you're going to see a lot of holes won today with pars and even bogeys. So, because of that, if you do get a little behind in this type of weather, I think you just don't panic, because you know somewhere along the line the other guy's probably going to make a mistake, and because everyone did today. It's just tough conditions.
Also in that group, Fisher beat Matsuyama, so the number 4 player in the world is all but eliminated with a loss and a tie. The top of the world's best are having some serious issues out here this week. At Austin Country Club, I'm Joaquin Sanchez for Sports Night.
Oh, it's not an easy course. I think it's tougher than maybe some of these guys expected when they came to Austin Country Club for the first time last year. Joaquin showed us Jonathan Vegas. He does have a chance to move on tomorrow. It was nice to see him win today. If he is going to move on, though, he's going to need to win his match tomorrow. He's going to need Bubba Watson, who's still undefeated, to lose, and then maybe he could work his way into the weekend, which would be great to see. Tell you what, we watched Jordan Spieth a lot yesterday. It was as poorly as I'd seen him play around the greens in a really long time. He was in the second to last group to go off today. Travis, you walked with him. How'd he look?
Well, he looked better,
Yeah.
and that was very necessary considering the way he played on Wednesday. And as soon as that round was over, after he lost that match to Hideki Tanahara, he went straight to the putting green. He went back out to the range, and he put in some work. So would that work pay off? Yeah, we'll check out how Jordan Spieth did on Thursday. Jordan Spieth knowing what was needed today as he teed off against Yuta Ikeda. The two split the first two holes. Jordan needing the putter on 3 to keep the match even. Drops in a par to the favor of his following. Spieth wasn't playing great early but caught some breaks. Ikeda misses a near gimme on 5. He would lose that hole. So we move on to the par 5 6th, and Spieth takes advantage and moves his 1-hole lead to 2, rolls in the birdie. One of his best putts of the day. Close match the rest of the way. When we go to 16, Spieth up 3. His approach to the green is salty. Nestles it in nice and close. Ikeda then needing this putt, but wouldn't get it, and that proves to be the final shot of the match. Spieth with a solid bounce-back day, winning 4 and 2.
It was tough. It was really tough. It was a matter of trying to keep the ball below the hole, make par your worst score, recognizing that even par is most likely going to win the majority of matches today. So I was somewhere around there. Started to find a little something in the driving and putting, which has really been what I've been working towards improving. So I started to find a little something to hopefully carry it into tomorrow.
So Spieth is still alive going into Friday. Maybe the match of the day, Ricky, was on the other side of that group.
And it's one that Jordan Spieth was watching very closely. He was hoping that Ryan Moore could have his match with Tanahara, if not win his match. This one was all square going to 18. Hideki Tanahara with a perfect shot, setting himself up to potentially win the hole. Ryan Moore nails a putt he had to make. Tanahara would then make his putt. So those two have the match. That is extremely significant for Jordan Spieth. He did not want Tanahara to be undefeated going into tomorrow. So there's a lot of scenarios that could play out in this group. The simplest one for Jordan Spieth is to win his match tomorrow. He's going to need a little help beyond that, but he basically has to win if he wants to move on. And if he does that, there's a chance.
Right. He needs Tanahara to either lose or to have his match. And like you said, Jordan Spieth going up against Ryan Moore has to win that match.
To make things really complicated in that group, it is conceivable we could have a 4-way tie.
They can all stay alive.
And then it would get messy. There'd be a big playoff. But like I said, Yuta Ikeda, the player that Jordan Spieth played today, will take on Tanahara tomorrow. 2 players from Japan. Jordan needs Tanahara to lose that match or have it if not. And hopefully we'll see Jordan Spieth playing on the weekend. One guy I'm feeling pretty confident that we are going to see on the weekend is the #1 player in the world, Dustin Johnson. A lot of guys are 2-0. A lot of guys have played well here. I don't know if anybody has looked better than Dustin Johnson. He's been dominant so far.
He came out again on fire today. He was up 4 after 7, hit a 20-foot birdie putt on that 7th hole, and then just cruised from there. He went ahead and beat Martin Keimer 3 and 2.
I felt like I've been playing pretty well though since the beginning of last year. I feel like it's just been really solid. Nothing's really changed. I haven't really tried to change anything. Just keep working on the same things. But I feel like the golf game's been very good since the beginning of last year. Yeah, I think the golf course is good. I like it, and you got to drive it straight. I hit good shots. The greens are undulated, so you got to control your golf ball coming into the greens. But today is just really windy, so it played difficult.
So also in that group, the Bernie Bomber, Jimmy Walker, who needed to bounce back after his loss to Webb Simpson. His loss to Martin Keimer on day 1. He was playing Webb Simpson today. He got up 3 after the front 9. Simpson started to make a little bit of a run, cut it to just a 1-hole lead after 12, but then Walker wins 2 of those next 3 and closes out on 16. So Jimmy Walker wins it 3-2, so he's still alive. A very important matchup for him tomorrow, as he will take on DJ.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Right.
He is still alive, but he's going to have to find a way to do something nobody's been able to do so far. That's take down Dustin Johnson. And as you mentioned with Dustin Johnson, what he's done in each of these first 2 matches against Webb Simpson and Martin Keimer, just stepped on him from the very beginning. I think he was up 4 holes early yesterday. He was up 4 holes again today, just sucking the life out of the match. And then he, cruise control the rest of the way from there.
Well, he's playing like the #1 player in the world.
True. But it's funny because so long early in his career, Dustin Johnson had this reputation as a head case and not always coming through when he needed to. He looks so relaxed right now, so confident in his game. He talked about that a little bit after his match. So that'll be a big test for Jimmy Walker if he can pull that one off tomorrow.
Yeah, and there were a couple other interesting matchups out there today. Some of the big guys are playing well out here at Austin Country Club. One of those guys, Bubba Watson, he took his first match of the day, then went on today, had the most birdies of anyone in the field, 7 today, and beat Scott Piercy 4-3.
Yeah, Bubba looking very good. Good chance we'll see him playing on Saturday when we get to the round of 16. Louis Oosthuizen and Jim Furyk was a fun match out there. Oosthuizen has been really dominant in the match play format. He's 14-4 in his last 8 matches. His only losses, coincidentally, come to Jim Furyk and Jason Day, and he does lose to Furyk today.
Also, Sergio Garcia with another win, so he is 2-0 so far here at the match play, and it sets up a very interesting matchup with another guy who's 2-0, John Rahm. Both of them some of the top players from Spain.
It's going to be a tough match, probably the toughest whole week. He not only he's playing really well, but he's a great player. The good thing is, I hope that he gets at least half a point, so that way, if one of us beats the other, it makes sure that the Spanish player is on the round of 16.
Let's recap some of the notable matches, some of which we just showed you video for. Dustin Johnson beats Martin Keimer. As we mentioned, Jordan Spieth, the winner today over Yuya Ikeda. Didn't show you Phil Mickelson. He's playing very well here, kind of quietly, being a little bit overlooked. He took down Daniel Berger comfortably today. And then, as Travis mentioned, Sergio Garcia beating Kevin Chappell. If you're coming out here to the course, if you're watching on TV, that Sergio Garcia-John Rahm match is going to be as fun as any of them tomorrow, I would expect.
Right, and Sergio was trying to play it down a little bit, saying, hey, it would just be great to get a Spaniard into the final 16,
right.
but there's a little bit of a fun rivalry there that he would love to win. A couple other interesting notes. We had another withdrawal. We actually had 2 today. Gary Woodland withdraws, so he was supposed to play Rory McIlroy today. The interesting thing, McIlroy picks up the win in that, but Soren Yeltsin also wins and was supposed to play Woodland tomorrow, so that means he's 3-0. Rory's out. He plays tomorrow, and he has no chance of moving on.
Right, it's a little bit of a bummer. We didn't see Rory at all today. He loses yesterday, and then as you mentioned, he'll play tomorrow, but the match means absolutely nothing. So he'll be out on the course, but he won't be playing on a Saturday. And then when you factor in Jason Day, of course, withdrawing yesterday, you lose 2 of the biggest names in this field, unfortunately, before we even get to the weekend.
23 players, in fact, Ricky, are already out of contention heading into Friday, and there are some more big names to go along with that. You're talking about Hideki Matsuyama, who came in playing so well, Matt Kuchar. He hasn't looked good here, and Danny Willett, also another major winner, won't make it to the weekend for sure.
And this is one of the things some of the players dislike about this format is that they still have to play on Friday, even though they're out of it. They would much rather go home. It's good for the fans, of course, but like you said, some big names won't be around for the weekend. Tomorrow will be the last chance to see them. We're going to take a break here on Sports Night. When we come back off the golf course to the basketball court, Spurs and Texas women's basketball team in action or getting ready for games. We'll have that when we come back on Sports Night. And welcome back on Sports Night live at Austin Country Club. Travis Recek will rejoin me in just a little bit here on the show. But believe it or not, there were things happening other than golf in the sports world today. That included the Spurs back home at the AT&T Center taking on Memphis. The team San Antonio has not beaten all season, looking to change that tonight as we take you to the highlights. And pretty cool to see this. Friend of the program, in fact, America's oldest living veteran, Richard Overton, 110 years old, honored during the game. Great to see him there at the game. Spurs 0-2 against the Grizzlies. As I mentioned, Kawhi Leonard tried to change that as he hits the three. San Antonio up by 11. 19 points for Kawhi in the game. It was a big night for LaMarcus Aldridge. He nails the baseline jumper. Spurs are up by 11. 15,000 points now in LaMarcus's career. Fourth quarter, Aldridge again over a couple of Grizzlies defenders. Spurs continue to add to their lead. They go on to win this one 97-90, their first win over the Grizzlies this season. And look, you don't want to hear me talk about this game because if the truth is being told, I was just watching golf all day. I didn't get to see much of the Spurs game. But the man who did, our guy Jeff Platt, joining us now live from the AT&T Center. Jeff, tell the people what they needed to know about this game.
Yeah, I got you covered, Ricky. You know, the Spurs-Grizzlies matchup is interesting in so many ways as it pertains really to the postseason. Now, last year, Memphis was a team that San Antonio, to be honest, probably wanted to see because there was no Mike Conley, no Marc Gasol, no Brandon Wright. The Grizzlies were banged up, and the Spurs took advantage of those injuries and swept the Grizzlies in the first round. Now, this year, it could be a bit of a different case. This is more of a healthy Grizzlies squad, a squad that's only missing Chandler Parsons, but one in which Marc Gasol is having a tremendous impact, where Mike Conley is having one of his best years, and the Grizzlies are kind of lurking in that 7th spot, about a game and a half back of the Oklahoma City Thunder for the 6th spot. The Spurs are in the number 2 spot in the Western Conference. So right now, the Spurs-Grizzlies matchup is slated for the first round of the playoffs. And again, the Grizzlies might not be a team the Spurs wanted to see. This was a real physical battle tonight, but I think in the end, the ball movement really worked out well for San Antonio. 26 assists and just 6 turnovers. Here's Greg Popovich after the game.
Yeah, it was, I thought, both teams, played good D, and as usual, making some shots down the stretch matters, but overall, I thought we moved the ball pretty well, shared it, didn't turn it over too much, played a pretty good game.
Not going to show up in the box score, but Tony looked like he had a good game out there defensively.
He did a great job defensively. He knows, how good Conley is, how crafty he is, how dangerous he is. He can score in a lot of ways. They did a really good job on him.
Wow, how proud were you to see that 110-year-old veteran come out there and you guys kind of...
He was amazing. I couldn't take my eyes off him. Being uttered is pretty remarkable in the first place, but I just think about all the memories, that guy has. I hope somebody sat down with him and let him tell him everything that he's done and where he was. I guess he was in Iwo Jima and he was a couple other places. In the East, Pearl, someplace else too. But just imagine the experiences he's had and what he saw. So that was great that they honored him tonight.
Hope, does it seem like LaMarcus has a newfound rhythm out there?
Yeah, I think he's, he had that little hiatus there where he had to get some things checked out, but I think he looks pretty comfortable shooting the ball. He's not holding it; he's shooting it when he's open, and I think he feels good.
Ricky, like you said, like Pop said, what a moment to honor 110-year-old World War II veteran Richard Overton. Back to the ball movement to sum it all up. The Spurs had 15 assists tonight before they committed just 1 turnover. With the win, San Antonio moves to 55-16 on the season, 2 games back of Golden State for the top spot in the Western Conference. The Spurs will host the Knicks on Saturday night. Ricky?
Feel pretty confident predicting a Spurs victory against the Knicks on Saturday. Jeff, good stuff. Thank you very much. The Texas women's basketball team will be in action tomorrow night. Longhorns looking to get to the Elite Eight for a 2nd straight season. If they are going to do that, big test ahead of them against Stanford. Our Claire Brandon is in Lexington with the Longhorns and has more.
The Texas women have waited 128 days for a shot at redemption against Stanford, and Friday night they get their opportunity to do just that, taking on the Cardinal in the Sweet 16, 4 months after dropping its season opener to Stanford 71-59.
You don't want to lose to any team, and so when you get the opportunity to play them again and redeem yourself, it's a great feeling. And especially now that it's, you lose and you're done.
We've been looking forward to it since the loss, I think you can say, and I think that we'll be able to show that, we've grown as a team and we've matured a little bit, so we'll be able to show that, we're not the same team we were the first game.
I think we're a completely different team than when we started off this season. When we started, we had a lot of young players and players that just hadn't had experience at this level before.
Highly touted freshman Joyner Holmes struggled in her first collegiate game, finishing with just 3 points against the Cardinal. 4 months later, she's the team's third leading scorer in the NCAA tournament. She's averaging 14 points and 9 rebounds per game.
I mean, when I looked at the video, the film the other day, I just thought, that's not the same Jordan that I am now, and that's not the same Jordan that I even was in high school. And I know, comparing high school and college is not right, but I just don't feel like I was confident. I don't feel like I was myself. I felt like I was really afraid and really scared going out there, so I think it'll be better tomorrow.
Coincidentally enough, this is the Longhorns' first trip back to Lexington since 1986, when Jody Conrad led Texas to its only national title. In Lexington, Kentucky for Sports Night, I'm Claire Brandon.
All right, Claire, thank you. So here's our matchup for tomorrow night. Texas and Stanford, the 2 seed and the 3 seed. It'll be probably tipping around 8:30. It's scheduled for 8 o'clock, probably going to start later than that. Of course, we'll keep you posted on Spectrum News on how that one plays out. But right now, here on Sports Night, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes from Austin Country Club. Let's take a look at some of the big matches on day 3, the final day of group play here at the Dell Technologies match play. Dustin Johnson and Jimmy Walker, that's going to be a great one. They will tee off at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Jordan Spieth goes off fairly early against Ryan Moore, 10:48 a.m., the scheduled tee time for them. The 2 undefeated Spaniards, Sergio Garcia and John Rahm, at 9:20 a.m. Phil Mickelson been playing well. He's still undefeated. He'll be one of the first on the course against J.B. Holmes at 8:14 a.m. And if you're looking at those times and thinking they don't look right compared to what you saw earlier, that's because play has been moved up 2 hours tomorrow. We're expecting some storms to potentially roll through late in the morning, so they're going to get play started early, hopefully get ahead of some of the bad weather. Tomorrow is the final day of group play. When it's all said and done, we will know the 16 golfers who advance to the round of 16 on Saturday morning. So big pressure on a lot of these matchups. Tomorrow it will be fun. We will, of course, have you covered tomorrow night on Sports Night out here at Austin Country Club. So we'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock.